What's up, Rider Nation? This is John coming at you at the Rider Zone with the first ever edition of Fandemonium. I know you've been waiting for it for days and days and days and days. Hey, we finally got it up. I was wanting to wait another 24 hours so I could remove this massive zit on my cheek, but hey, you wanted it, you got it. You probably didn't want to see the zit on my face, but hey, we all compromise. So sorry to all four of my followers for the garbage quality of this video. We're at about $0 worth of budget. I think it's 4. My mom follows it. My sister. Yeah, that's about it. Well, anyways, my buddy was wanting to make a request. He wanted for all of you doing a drinking game to every time that I say or ah to take a shot. But I shot that down. I said, you guys are all going to be in the hospital with alcohol poisoning. Well, there you go. There's your first shot. In the next 45 seconds. So, no drinking games. Let's keep it safe. With that, we'll start with our first question. This comes at you from Rider Zone Sucks. Your blog is a joke and is the most terrible thing I read since the first page of Twilight. I'd rather subject myself to 100 volts to the nuts and gouge my eyes out with razor blades than read your posts ever again. Did you create this while in your parents' basement or in the Loris bin outside my house? Sincerely, the Rider Zone Sucks. Well, first of all, thank you for the question. This happens to be the very first question ever on Fandemonium, and for that, I'd like to give you a medal I won back in 6th grade for 80% on the honor roll. Well, actually, 93 and 4. Yeah, sorry, this is my brother's. I never once won a medal, but this is about worth as much as your comments. So, thanks for the comment. Don't come back. I don't care. Instead, we will go on to our second question, and this one is actually worth my time. This comes from Gord in Saskatoon, and he's wanting to know about Darren Durant and whether there's any news of replacing him. We've heard that many times, but hopefully this isn't one of those irrational questions. He says he's getting kind of tired of the inconsistency coming from our current quarterback. He cites the 3 failed passes to Getzlaff in a row as one of the major gaffes, and if he recalls in prior seasons, Durant needed a phone call or 2 from his family to help get his mind focused on the task at hand. So on that note, why haven't we seen more of Drew Willie in the 4th quarter when Durant starts to show signs of the past? Well, I guess that I did make reference to Durant and how I feel about him on a previous post. I'm not one of those haters that goes around and irrationally, looks for an opportunity to jump on Durant at any time, any interception, any bad throw. I actually think he's doing quite well. This year, his first 3 games, 0 turnovers. The next 2 games, 38 points on the board and 34 points on the board. That should be enough to get you through to a 5-0 record. And then, obviously, Game 6, not one of the best games for him. But really, I'd like to go over the quarterbacks across the league. And if you look at their production, it's not far and away better than Durant's or any more consistent. You look at, let's start with the most consistent quarterback in the league for the past 5 years. There's an interesting stat. In the first 4 years of Calvillo's career, he threw for 11,687 yards. Durant, in his first 4 years in the league, threw for 14,665. So that tells me that every quarterback, whether you're Calvillo, Ricky Ray, Travis Lulay, we're all going to have our times where we have peaks and valleys. I just think that he gets some undue criticism. Calvillo, first 6 Grey Cups, he was 1-5. Durant 0-2. So in the first 4 years of their careers, they won as many Grey Cups, 0. And Durant actually one-upped him in yards and in interceptions. And I think if you put Drew Willie in, you're going to see the same kind of inconsistency. It's the hardest position to play in all of pro sports. That's what they say. And I think one thing that I really thought was that, well, the struggles of last year was they had a terrible low line. You look at the last 5 games of the season, he had absolutely no chance to throw. He got drilled repeatedly. And so I thought this year, this would tell the tale of whether Durant can produce. I think the first 3 games showed us that he's capable of playing mistake-free football. And obviously you're going to have times when things aren't quite going your way. Just bear with it. Just preach patience. Hey, Travis Lulay, aside from the first 5 games of last season, 0-5. He finally got it going. And Durant has won his fair share of playoff games. So, even though he hasn't won the big game, I think that he's well on his way. I just don't think it's warranted to throw him under the bus just yet. There's many problems. There's the DBs. There's the missed field goals. Either of those 2 things do a mediocre job. We won't be talking about this. We'll be looking at a 5-1 record, and everything will be good. So on that note, I'll leave you with this. Oh, get slap waggle. Start from that. Oh. So this, terribly overrated. Durant, not so much. That question just left a bad taste in my mouth. Now let's go. I think I covered all the bases there. Thanks for the question. Let's go on to our third one. Where is that? That's 3 shots. And this question comes from Bev, and 6 weeks into the season, she is saying 6 weeks into the season, we've seen no team as the clear front runner or emerge as a contender. 2 points separate first from 7th. Who do you see as the teams who will separate themselves from the pack? Well, it is quite a unique year this year. So usually these things start to be told about the 9-10 game mark. We're looking at the 12-13 game mark. I'm guessing before we'll start to realize which teams are aside from Winnipeg. Will probably be, I'm guessing, 1-10, but who knows. Montreal, you never can count them out with Calvillo, obviously. They haven't looked as sharp. They haven't had that same zip. I don't see them as winning the East. I say they will be second in the East. I think Hamilton, I said at the start of the season, Hamilton, BC, with Hamilton win the Grey Cup. I'm sticking with that. I think with Henry Burris, he's just been playing some of his best football these last 4 games. And with Fantus, Stala, Giguère, they're big names, and on paper they should win. They will emerge as the best out of the East. I think the Argonauts, I would have favored them, but with the releasing of Corey Boyd, they took a hit, I'm not sure what was going on there. That will lead us to our fourth question, but I'm sticking with BC, Hamilton. I think the Riders, middle of the pack. I picked them 9-9 at the start of the season. Winnipeg will miss the playoffs. Calgary missed the playoffs in the West if there's no crossover. Edmonton plays Saskatchewan in the West semifinal. BC gets the bye. Toronto and Montreal play in the East semifinal. And Hamilton gets the bye. And after that, I don't want to predict after that. But those I see. So I see Hamilton, BC, and we'll say Toronto as the top three at this point. That's without any bias. I still see the Riders as being a middle-of-the-pack team, regardless of the first three games and regardless of how bad they've been in the last two fourth quarters and the last game. But so there's your expert analysis. That leads us to our fourth question. What do you make of the Corey Boyd situation in Toronto? Should the Riders have made a pitch for him? I personally was shocked by the actual releasing, but I was not shocked that he was moved. One of the lasting images of last year was seeing Corey Boyd throw a tantrum on the sidelines while his teammates couldn't get the job done on the field. He took it upon himself, put the attention on himself, saying, "Why aren't I out there? Why can't you guys do this? It's all about me. If you guys can't do this, I don't want to be here. Screw you." And so I thought he was a self-centered, I can't think of a better term than the one that came in my head right now, and I'm not going to say it. Should the Riders have made a pitch for him? Absolutely not. Corey Sheets has been adequate to very good in his first season, so I think there's still room for improvement for him, and he hasn't been far behind Corey Boyd, as well as Corey Sheets has shown he can block. He can do many things. He can catch the ball in the backfield. Corey Boyd, one-dimensional. Yes, he's the best power back by far in the league, but that was definitely overshadowed by the fact there was many personal issues, and I think the Argos were right about. I think they probably should have releasing him. I don't know what they're thinking there, but trading him. Couldn't they traded him, gotten something? So anyway, that will do it for the first edition of Fandemonium. Keep those questions coming, all four of you. We'll hopefully do this once a week. Peace.